All right, we're continuing our discussion of Google Forms. In our first video, we looked at how to create the form and how to name the form, and how to create some questions and how to preview our form. And so in this one, I'm going to go through a little more on questions and how you can create questions. And I also want to look at something called data validation. So one of the things we found in the first video is that we can ask different types of questions. I'm going to go ahead and add another question here and go through a few more of these. I'm going to click the plus symbol, and I want to know, we want to know the respondent's age, let's just say, on are they 100? Are they 12? How old are they? And we can maybe use that for some analysis later. So we could just ask, how old are you? Or what is your age? That sort of thing. That might be better. What is your age? Now we got a lot of choices here. Multiple choice. We could give them, you could put in ranges like 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 30 to 40. You could do it that way, but I want you to think about this. If you do it that way, when you start doing things like what is the average age of a respondent, you may have some problems because you can't get an average if there are ranges of age. So you might want to just have them enter a number. Okay, so you might say, well, I'll let them just enter a short answer here, and they can enter a number of some sort. So that works really well. The problem is, though, if a person's entering their age, they could enter like the number 2. Let me show you. I will go up and here, remember this is preview. I'll preview this, and for my age, I'll just type in 2 or 42. Well, nothing's going to stop a person from doing that, but that would actually mess up your results probably because that's not a number. And when you put it into, when you get your responses, we'll find later that you can put this into a spreadsheet. And if you have these all as numbers, then you can do some things like averaging. But if a person leaves it blank, or if a person types a really old haha, that kind of stuff is going to mess up your results. Or if a person's just being funny and typed in, 10,000, 10 million, a million, whatever that is. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to close this out. This is where I'm previewing. And this is another preview that I did earlier. So I'm going to go back to here, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to try to get some what we call data validation. And you come over here, and we're going to look at now they call it response validation. I'm going to click on response validation. And what I would like them to do is enter a number. We could have them enter text length. We could say it's got to be so long and that sort of thing. I'm going to say I want a number, and I want a number greater than we can look at the different things we could do. We could say between, or we could say greater than or less than. I'm going to do between because I want them to enter something reasonable. So I'm going to say between 0 and 100. We'll hopefully have no one over 100. And then you can give them an error, a custom error. If you don't put anything, it'll just say invalid or something like that. But I'm going to say, please enter a number between 1 and 10, or I'm sorry, between 0 and 100. And so that'll be the message they get if they don't enter it properly. Now I could, okay, so, and I can require that or not require it and so forth. Let's preview this and see what happens. I'm gonna go up to the top here. I'm gonna click on preview, and I'm gonna come down here to enter age. This is my preview that I had before. If I click off of that, you see it says please enter a number between 0 and 100. If I did old, or just typed in old for my age, when I click off of it, it says please enter a number between 0 and 100. It won't let me go further until I do something like 40. So and then click submit, and then it would allow me to submit. So the point here is you're validating the data so that you don't get bad data into your survey, which could be important for data analytics and analyzing your data. Okay, so that is data validation. And I want to talk about a little bit more about some of the other types of questions. I want to add another question. Let's ask, how well do you like the fall? We'll just start with the fall. Maybe we'll go through each one. How well do you like the fall? Okay, now let's talk about this for a second. I could do this in a number of ways. By default, when I type, or what happens here is Google kind of anticipates what type of question I would need for this. That's really smart of Google, but you can change this over here. It's saying, hey, how about trying a linear scale? So in this case, you could just do short answer, and you could let a person just describe how well they like the fall. You can give them a paragraph so they can write a lot more about how much they like the fall. But this linear scale is pretty cool. On a scale of 1 to 5, how well do you like the fall? And you could do, scale of 1 to 10, for example. And you could give a label for that, or you could leave it off if you want to. I could say on 1 being not much, or meh, or something, or hate it. And 10 being love it. Okay, so let's see how this looks when I fill this out. I'm going to go back to preview again. So I'm going to come down here. How well do you like the fall? And I can say hate it on this end, or I can say love it on that end. Okay, so that's linear scale. Let me show you another way you can, another type of question. I'm going to change this to multiple choice or check. Let's do multiple choice grid. Okay, in this case, I can say the same question. How well do you? How do you? Let's change this to how well, or how would you rate the seasons? Okay, another way of kind of asking the same sort of thing. I'm gonna put my seasons in here. I'm gonna say spring, summer, fall, winter. And over here, I could put different columns in. I could say hate it. I could say love it. Okay, now let's just see how this works. So actually, I think I need not multiple choice. I need a checkbox grid so I can check more than one thing. Okay, so I'm going to change it to that. And so now let's preview what that does. I'm going to go back up here to preview. And let me scroll down here and see how would you rate the season? I hate spring. I love summer. I hate fall. I love winter. So you could do that, and we'll talk about how those responses look a little bit later. But that's another type of question that you can have. I wanted to cover just a few other things here with question types. So I'm going to add another question. It's down here at the bottom, and let's look at the different types that we have. I mentioned we had file upload, where we could have them submit a picture or PDF or something like that. The difference between multiple choice grid that I just did and checkbox grid is you can only choose one answer. You can play around with that. So let's also look at these last two down here, date and time. So if you wanted to ask a birth date or something like that, you could do that. Or if you wanted to ask a particular time, you could do that. I'll just do date here, and I'll just say birth date. And that way you could find out the age of your respondents. Okay. You could also do what we did up here and say, what is your age? And so if you think about this, there's lots of different ways you can ask questions, right? Would it be better to say, what is your age? Or would it be better to ask for their birth date? I mean, you just have to kind of make that distinction or decision. So let me go up here to the top, and I will preview that so you'll see how it looks. If you scroll down to birth date, it gives them month, day, year. And so they could actually, it's kind of cool because it also gives them a little calendar they could put in. Okay. But that's how we would, those are a little more information about the various questions, question types, and data validation or response validation.